Since Beyoncé dropped this date on Christmas, I've been trying to figure out what she's up to, and I think I finally cracked the code after hours of research, and while editing a completely different video, I managed to decode this date. Let me break it down. Naturally, my curiosity kicked in, so I went to her Instagram, and as I always say, Beyoncé follows a specific pattern in everything she does. I've proven this in my other videos, so definitely check those out if you want to catch up on what I mean. Anyway, on Instagram, I noticed all 4 videos, including the one with the date, are the same size, a 16:9 format. Now, if you post on social media, then you know you can frame content in different sizes. But here's where it gets intriguing. If you go to her TikTok, the first 3 posts are sized for TikTok or Shorts. They're cropped, not showing the full frame like you'd see on YouTube or Instagram. And the same thing applies to Twitter, or should I say, X. But the difference on Twitter is all of the videos are the same size, which is that 16:9 frame. But did you also notice that on every last platform that the date video stays in that same full frame of the 16:9 format, and she's still on the football field? So could this mean it's still related to the halftime show? And here's where it gets even crazier now. A few days ago, I came across a tweet where fans noticed something. There's a logo hidden in the corner of the video. So could that be the key to this whole mystery? But what's wild is that if she had posted the video in a cropped short video frame size, we wouldn't have even known it was there at all. But her waving the flag might have given us the clue we didn't know was there until now. But the real question is it the Netflix logo? Because think about it, what logo have we seen consistently in that exact position in her videos? But one thing I still can't figure out is why didn't she post this date video on YouTube? If you have any clues about that, drop your thoughts in the comment section. But also, let's not forget, Beyoncé already had a 3-project film deal with Netflix, and Homecoming was the first one done, and it has been reported that her halftime show performance was another one. So, could this be her going out of this deal with a bang, releasing her 3rd film to complete the deal? It would make sense, right? But if that wasn't enough, here's another great question. What would the film be about? And based on the evidence she's already shared from Act 1, I think I might have the answer. But first, let me add that after doing a little more research, I found that she might still have 2 films coming. And this would make sense considering the halftime show was only 13 minutes long, compared to films like Renaissance and Homecoming, which are an hour or more. And if you remember, after the Renaissance tour, Beyoncé announced the Renaissance film, which documented the tour and all the behind-the-scenes moments. And I've seen a lot of people saying they don't think she'll go on tour for Cowboy Carter because they think it's not a tour album, and that this performance was the tour. And not saying that's true or not, following the pattern of Renaissance, it's likely she'll drop a film instead to match what she did with Renaissance, like after touring. But here's where my theory gets interesting. If this is a film and she follows what she did with the Renaissance film, she might announce a surprise single at the end of it like she did with My House. Or if not, then if she is indeed going on tour, then there could be a tour announcement at the end of it instead, but who knows? Like, think about it. She loves to announce things at the end of whatever she's doing. We saw this firsthand with her Super Bowl commercial, the Renaissance film, and so much more. But as always, these are just my theories based on the evidence she's given us. Now, another reason why I think this could be Netflix related is the 3rd promotional video she dropped. The difference between this one and the others is because she's wearing black instead of white. Like, look at it like this. In the first promo video, she wore red, white, and blue. In the second, she wore all white, but in the third, she's in black with a silver glittery Renaissance coated top under a flowered red, white, and blue coated shawl. And that's not all, because since this Cowboy Carter era started, what type of hats have you seen Beyoncé wearing? Not many other colors, because the brand for Cowboy Carter is white, like how Renaissance had the disco ball cowboy hat style. So this sudden switch to black just screams rock and roll. And I'll get more into that in another video, but it's clear the font is rock related, but still, I feel like she's just teasing. Honestly, would the scavenger hunt be any fun if she gave us all the answers? That's like Jerry letting Tom catch him. And Beyoncé's style of teasing sets her apart. It makes the art more engaging while we're learning something, because since she posted that date, I've been researching nonstop, and I've learned so much. In fact, I made a thread on X about everything I've found. I didn't finish it because I started working on this video, but that thread will be linked in the description if you want to check it out. But since then, I've seen a few threads suggesting this could be a film or even one coming to Netflix, because one thread in particular caught my eye, where a hiver broke down some evidence that it could be related to the movie Nope, a movie which was released in 2022, and after reading the comments and checking for myself, because I still had Netflix thanks to the Beyoncé Bowl, I noticed many people saying the film wasn't even on Netflix, and after verifying, it wasn't. It suggests that every event during the tour, from commercials to performances, is interconnected, and I've even speculated before that the dates and products she's dropping are all connected. But at this point, no guess is bad, and with so many fans working together to figure this out, someone is bound to get it, even if it's just one detail. And this brings me to a side note. Obsessed has been my favorite movie, so if this is indeed a movie where Beyoncé stars, I'll be beyond excited. I've always loved her acting and hope she'll return to the screen, but even if she's not starring, I'll still be tuning in. But I also have seen theories where people think this could not just be a regular film, but a musical film, so what would you think about that? Also add your theories in the comments, because someone in the comments could be right when January 14th comes, so put your bid in now because you might be the lucky one. Now, why do I think this is something coming to Netflix? Well, look at the Netflix logo. It's red with a black background, and black often symbolizes the rock or gothic aesthetic, and red can sometimes complement that. Plus, in the third promotional video, Beyoncé wore black as the primary color with red lipstick. And where else have we seen this combo? Haunted. The Haunted visual has a gothic vibe with Beyoncé wearing black with red lipstick. Now, I'm not ruling out Act 3 being rock because the evidence is indeed there, but I don't think what's coming on January 14th will be Act 3 just yet, but she's teasing that it's coming, or better yet, but if I'm wrong, I'll come back to admit it. But for now, I'm just speculating, but the date and font seem like intentional choices to keep us guessing. Also, she didn't use Act 1's font and any other font, and this could be her slowly transitioning into Act 3, so she could be using rock-related things to do so. Now let's discuss the Cowboy Carter era, with some speculating that it's over because she made the flag disappear. And while I'm not deeply familiar with country symbolism, waving a flag reminds me of the finish line in a race. But after doing research, I found that during a horse race, dropping a flag could signal the start of a race as well. But here's the thing. My main concern wasn't really about the flag itself, but it's the way she seemed to be telling us to pay attention to the horse specifically, and I posted more about this on X in my threads, which, as I mentioned, will be linked in the description. But the Cowboy Carter era began in 2024, 2 years after Renaissance. So if this is a transition, then I feel like it's a slow one, and the rock era might not start until the time I predicted, which was 2026. And this theory ties back to the symbolism of horses transitioning colors over time, like a white horse could represent an era fading, while a black horse signals the next one, and the Cowboy Carter album cover shows a fully white horse, but the teaser hints at change. And after seeing these speculations, I'm starting to believe that this might not be behind-the-scenes footage from the Beyoncé Bowl, but something bigger, and with that we shall wait and see. But also, has anybody noticed how quiet Beyoncé has been since dropping this mystery date? She's definitely up to something, and I'm sure you guys are probably just excited as I am to find out what it is. So I ended the last video by saying that it looks like the horse is turning black from the legs. And I was basically describing how it could symbolize Beyoncé slowly loading into Act 3, which is speculated to be rock and roll, right? And I also mentioned how it reminded me of an hourglass. And if you've ever seen an hourglass, then you would know how it works. It's essentially a timer, but with sand. But technically, in research terms, it's a device used to measure the passage of time. Now, I'll explain in a second why I'm comparing the horse in this picture to an hourglass, but first let's talk about why the horse is turning black, something I didn't fully understand until I looked up white horses. So to explain further, a horse isn't typically born white. Most horses that appear white are actually gray horses that gradually lose their color as they age. This means they're born a different color, like bay, chestnut, or black, and turn white over time. A truly white horse is rare and is caused by a specific genetic mutation called the dominant white gene. Now, most horses referred to as white are technically gray, whose hair gradually lightens until it appears completely white, and that transition doesn't happen in any specific way, it just spreads all over. So here's my point. When I think about something changing color over time, I usually imagine it transitioning from top to bottom, or sometimes from bottom to top. But in the horse's case, after looking at pictures, I realized the color change doesn't follow a set pattern, and it just changes. But here's where Beyoncé's symbolism comes in, because to me, she's representing a reverse transition, which could symbolize going back in time, revisiting history, or transitioning into a new act. Like we discussed in the last video, Act 3 is speculated to be rock and roll, and black is its signature color. So, to me, the whole point of her using a white horse is so she could go back and revisit time, the time of when the white horse was black, with the black representing the history of what the horse once was, while the white symbolizes the rewrite, and it's just like what she's doing in Cowboy Carter, revealing information about what once was the history of America, the same American history she said has been rewritten endlessly, saying, "I wanted everyone to take a minute to research on the word cowboy. History is often told by the victors, and American history, it's been rewritten endlessly. Up to a quarter of all cowboys were black. These men faced a world that refused to see them as equal, yet they were the backbone of the cattle industry." Now, when you think about it, the white horse's original color could be bay, chestnut, or black. So this transition in the image perfectly aligns with how I interpret what Beyoncé is doing. She's reversing the original birth color, almost like she could be revisiting the origins of rock and roll. It's like she's saying, let's go back and reimagine history. To me, this also represents a load up, kind of like a battery charging, since the color change is still at the legs and hasn't reached halfway, so it could symbolize the slow beginning of a new era. But again, these are just my theories. And let's be real, when she revisits history, she goes deep. But then there's the connection to the Cowboy Carter cover, like the only red, white, and blue in this video is the flag, which later disappears. And like I said in the last video, I'm not entirely sure of the reasoning behind this, but some people say it represents the end of Cowboy Carter, while others believe it represents the beginning of something coming for Cowboy Carter. But since the flag was up on the Cowboy Carter cover, I can only guess that putting it down in this video symbolizes a slow ending, which ties into my theory about her transitioning into the rock era. But what stays consistent is the black background. However, there's more light on her and the horse on Cowboy Carter, but what's different is her outfit, because she's no longer wearing red, white, and blue. And the jacket she's wearing could also be Renaissance coded, but it's gold instead of silver, maybe hinting at a mix of all the acts. But for a bonus clue, look at the horse position, because it's standing perfectly still and is striking the exact same pose as the Renaissance horse. And when did Renaissance start? At the beginning. So it's a lot to decode, but we'll find out soon, because for all we know, she could just drop a "say no more" and leave us speechless.
This video is for Beyoncé and Beyoncé only. I figured you out. I know exactly what you're going to announce. I figured it out, and I figured it out by myself. You are not announcing a tour. You are announcing Act 3. And let me tell you how I know that. Because in the video that you posted of you on that horse with that flag, apparently what you did with that flag in a rodeo, that indicates the end of a rodeo, or the end of a part of a rodeo. You are telling us that we are at the end of the Cowboy Carter era, and the lights were dim in that video. We could barely see your face. When a show is over, what happens? The lights go out. Show's over. Lights out. You were in the dark on purpose to indicate the end of the cowboy era. Also, you were on a horse in that dim lighting. What's the last thing you see at the end of a cowboy movie? The last thing you see at the end of a cowboy movie is that last shot of the cowboy on his horse. You were telling us that this is the end of the Cowboy Carter era. Oh, and that's not all I figured out, Beyoncé, because then I took a look at the caption. The caption said, "Look at that horse." Now, I was confused for a minute. I didn't know what you were talking about. I was looking at the horse and I couldn't find any details, any clues or anything. I was so lost. And then I thought, wait a minute. Look at that horse. Look at that horse. L-A-T-H. Laugh. Laugh. What's the definition of the word laugh? Third person present. The definition of the word laugh is third person present. third person present because your third album is about to be present. Act 3 is on its way. That video was you telling us that this is the end of the Cowboy Carter era and you are about to announce Act 3, your rock album. How do I know it's a rock album? Because the date that you posted is in a heavy metal font and you use the colors black and red. You just announced the end of the Cowboy Carter era and you are announcing Act 3, a rock album. I figured you out. Yep, I figured you out. You are a genius. I look forward to the announcement of Act 3, the rock album. See you soon, Beyoncé.
So y'all have tagged me in this man's video multiple times, and I am picking up what he's putting down. It makes a lot of sense. Also, I've been seeing other videos with people trying to put together what's going to be the 14th, and those also make sense. So with that being said, I originally came on here and I said the 14th was going to be the release of the Beyoncé Bowl. Clearly that's not it. Then my next theory was a tour. I am no longer leaning towards a tour. I am now feeling like Cowboy Carter was never supposed to be the tour album. Because keep in mind, Cowboy Carter was supposed to come out before Renaissance. I always felt like Renaissance was the world tour album. Because let's be honest, if she was to go on tour with Cowboy Carter, what songs would she mix with that album? Not saying that she doesn't have the discography to tour with the album, because she does. But I just feel like there needs to be another aspect, which is why I believe if we ever do get a tour, it's going to be for Act 2 and Act 3. Now, as far as the announcement for the 14th, I feel like we are now in a new era. The Cowboy Carter is over. I feel like it was very intentional for her to perform the album for the first time during Christmas, which is basically at the end of the fucking year. Even with the promo for whatever's supposed to come on the 14th, her waving that flag and the flag disappearing definitely means something. Like, the waving of the American flag gives me like the waving of the white flag. You usually wave the white flag when you're done. So that's kind of how I see it now, looking at it. So I feel like we're no longer in Act 2. We're progressing into Act 3. And if she tours at all, again, it's going to be for Act 2 and Act 3. Also, a lot of people were saying that she might headline the Houston Rodeo, which is absolutely a possibility. I just don't know if I see that happening, you know? But at this point, nobody really knows what that lady's about to do but Blue Ivy and Yvette. All these theories that we have, while they do sound amazing, while they do sound promising, we have no choice but to wait and see what that lady's about to do. Also, Yvette has been very adamant about shutting down tour rumors on Twitter. Like, she don't respond to shit else. As soon as somebody mentions a tour, she shuts it down automatically. So I do not feel like a tour is about to come.
Beyoncé. Hey, girl, I just wanted to give you a quick ring. I seen you up on the TV doing your thing. You never cease to amaze me. Consistently raising the bar. And I seen Blue up there, too. What can't that little girl do? I tell you, ain't that right? She is just really outdone herself. Now, the real reason I'm giving you a call is because you said that you was announcing something on the 14th of January. Diva to Diva, you know I love Sacred Gown. Don't get on this announcing shit about Sacred. Don't get on here talking about you releasing a candle line. Don't get on here talking about you releasing horses for purchase from your local farm. I don't want to hear all that. If it's not about the music, I don't want to hear that. Big 5, new album, residency, tour, music videos, music theme movie. If it ain't the Big 5, leave that shit on the motherfucking playground. And if you're announcing a new album and it's a rock alternative album, make sure Hayley Williams is on the album. If Hayley is not on the album, scrap that bitch and start it from the top until she on the motherfucking album. Now, you know I love you. I'm very proud of you. I'm so proud of Blue. Give me a call back when you get this message. We can discuss some things. Love you so much. Bye.
I think I might have figured out Act 3 by accident. I may have a theory. Has anyone else said this? I think I'm losing my mind. Now, I know better than to try to think like her or anything like it. It's just a theory. It's all in good fun. Y'all, it's different kinds of metal. Renaissance was all silver, chromatic, futuristic, right? Everything that she did in that rollout was all silver-based, sparkles, right? Cowboy Carter has been a lot of gold accents. The new perfume that just came out is a gold bottle. That gold dress she was wearing at that Sir Davis private dinner, stunning. But the golds. Act 3 has to be bronze. If she does bronze, think jazz club, those deep dark brown. If she goes gospel, rock, think about a church pew, the colors of really expensive guitars. Like, literally, the Olympics. Hello? Let me stop. I can't wait.
Girl. Beyoncé, girl. Just take it. Take it.
All right, y'all. Everyone is saying that the third act of Beyonce's third act is going to be rock, and you're wrong. you're wrong. I figured it out and you're wrong. Walk with me. Okay, so first of all, Beyonce likes to play in her face. She's playing in her face. She's been playing in her face for years. So here's the thing. There are 3 things in her special edition album covers. And I know what you're saying, like, oh, I know that album cover, whatever. No, she's playing in your face. She released a special edition album cover, and then she released an album cover. So walk with me. So you're going, oh, I know the Renaissance album cover. I know it. It's this. I know it. It's a disco horse. It's her in a disco horse or whatever. And so you're going, that's it. That's what I know. That's not it. That's not it. There was a special edition album cover where she played in your face. Walk with me. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, this is Cowboy Carter. It's not Cowboy Carter. This was Renaissance, you guys. Now, you're going to notice the white hat from Cowboy Carter. You're going to notice the white horse from Cowboy Carter. She's on a stage with these red curtains. And the disco horse. Y'all, she was playing in her face the whole time. Like, she was giving us the clues to the whole thing without telling us. And now we go, oh, Beyonce came out with a country album. Well, obviously, like, she's literally saying, hey, this is what I'm about to do. So, walk with me. What does this mean about the third act? So we have the disco horse, because there are 3 things in this. The disco horse, the cowboy hat, and there's this dress. Look at this dress, you guys. Now, this dress is specific. I think that it, she makes reference to Zydeco in Cowboy Carter. I think that that's what this is. I think that it's not rock. Like, she's going to do her Creole background. Like, that's what this is the other thing. Walk with me. Now, let's go to the Cowboy Carter special edition album cover. And you're going, oh, I know the Cowboy Carter album cover. It's this. It's Cowboy. It's her in American flag, and she's sitting on saddle on a horse. And that's not it. That's not it. This is the Cowboy Carter album cover, where we have 3 very specific things. Again, she's on a stage with a light. She's being downlit. She's literally naked. She's only showing us 3 things in this picture, you guys. 3 things. It's her holding a cigar. Like, y'all look up this photo. It's her holding a cigar. This Beyoncé sash, which we now know was Uncle Johnny's last name on the birth certificate because of what Tina Knowles said. So this is Renaissance. And then we have this cigar, which is Cowboy Carter. And then we have this hairstyle. So y'all, she's playing in her face. So let's be really... So notice that Erykah Badu had a lot to say about this hairstyle. Because Erykah Badu is also playing in her face. She's on this third album. Walk with me. She made a reference, and she said, Jay-Z, get this woman and these bees off of me. She's playing in her face because she knows she's on the third album. Now, so this hairstyle is a reference, hold on. It's something African and Creole inspired, okay? So, these are the 3 things in this picture. It's Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1 is Beyonce. That's Uncle Johnny. Act 2 is a cigar. Like, I'm a filmmaker, you guys. Her mise-en-scène is perfect. Everything is for a reason. And this third thing, she made sure there's only 3 fucking things in the picture, you guys. She made sure there was only 3 things in the entire picture. That's why she's naked. She's not naked for sensationalism. She's naked because she only wants 3 things in this picture. That cigar with her smoke that looks like a martini, and this hairstyle. That's it. So once we figure out the secret of the hairstyle, and we figure out the secret of the dress, we know what the third act is. I don't think it's rock, you guys. I think that it's Zydeco or something hinting to her Creole heritage or something. It's not rock, you guys. Like, she's reclaiming herself. If you have ideas, let me know. If you have thoughts, comment. Let's figure it out. But she's playing in her face, you guys. Look at the pictures. She's telling us a story.
I think Beyoncé is going to announce a tour because there are just too many clues making it obvious. And I've already explained some of it in my Beyoncé is going on tour and here's why video, which I'll link in the description. But recent evidence has pushed my theory even further. And I also want to say there's so much to cover, so I'm thinking about breaking everything into separate parts. Now, her postponing the date actually made me lean more toward it being a tour. And think about it, if it were anything else like a product, she'd likely just post it on Instagram to promote it. And I always express that Beyoncé follows a strategy in almost everything she does, so I immediately ruled that out. Then I knew it wasn't a perfume because Beyoncé said that she's going to drop one each year. And in my other videos, I broke down the timing pattern she uses for fragrances, and they usually drop toward the end of the year in or around November. So again, that would likely just be a social media announcement. But the same logic applies to Sacred. Beyoncé promotes Sacred products through social media, email, or text message marketing, and that's on top of me also ruling out whiskey because, again, social media. But lastly, I knew it couldn't be new music unless she delayed it out of respect for the devastating events that's going on right now, which could also still be a possibility, but some speculate that it might be Act 3, but I automatically eliminated that right away based on Beyoncé's pattern that I feel like Act 3 isn't coming until 2026. And while we're on the topic of the devastating LA fire situation that's taking place right now, I wanted to share the Be Good Foundation's LA Fire Relief Fund, where you can donate and support what is going on in LA right now. And the link will be in the description to help with anything you can because every bit counts. But more reasons why I think the Cowboy Carter era isn't over is because the Renaissance era lasted 2 years and Cowboy Carter has only been out for 10 months and haven't even hit a year yet. But Beyoncé also has a clear rhythm, an album 1 year, then a tour the next. So with Cowboy Carter dropping last year, I feel like the tour is next, but that's just my opinion. And in my last video, I did mention it could have been a documentary. But even then, one of my theories still tied back to a tour, and I even posted in the community tab asking, what if Beyoncé drops the Renaissance film on a streaming platform and promotes her upcoming tour at the end? Because Beyoncé has done this before she announced her single My House at the end of the Renaissance film and teased the Cowboy Carter era during last year's Super Bowl and even announced the mystery date after her Beyoncé Bowl performance. So we know she loves to give a great grand finale. But now let's talk about Live Nation's repost of the Look at That Horse video and how it made people wonder what Beyoncé is actually up to. And with Beyoncé, nothing is ever off limits. But remember that United Airlines clip that had Renaissance hints included in it?
Okay, we've seen her before, but never in Lisbon.
Because when she goes on tour, you need to go too.
And when you listen to the audio, it says, you've seen her before, but never in Lisbon. And here's an interesting fact. Beyoncé last toured in Lisbon in 2014 during her Mrs. Carter Show World Tour. And that tour actually ended in Lisbon on March 27th, 2014. So could that be a clue at her touring there this year? Or maybe a hint of her planning to visit countries she didn't touch during the Renaissance tour? But let's talk about the Pinterest commercial where we seen the looks switching between the different eras, but can also represent how she switched up her looks throughout the Renaissance tour. But then here's what clicked. The gold jacket that Beyoncé was wearing in this video, which is called a fringe jacket, matches the one seen in the Pinterest ad, and the woman in the ad also wears a white cowboy hat, just like the one Beyoncé still has on in the Look at That Horse video. But also don't forget, Beyoncé dropped the gold bottled fragrance last year, making me think that the theme for Cowboy Carter isn't just white, but it's white and gold. And all this tells me is that we're still in the Cowboy Carter era. But do you remember what one supporter said at the end of our last video? Basically, Beyoncé wore that white hat on her additional album cover, and it was in our face the entire time. And she was basically showing us that she was stepping into Cowboy Carter before we even caught on. But we didn't realize what she was about to do until she wore that same colored hat at the Grammys.
There was a special edition album cover where she played In Your Face. Walk with me. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, this is Cowboy Carter. It's not Cowboy Carter. this was Renaissance, you guys. Now, you're going to notice the white hat from Cowboy Carter. You're going to notice the white horse from Cowboy Carter. She's on a stage with these red curtains. And the disco horse. Y'all, she was playing in her face the whole time. Like, she was giving us the clues to the whole thing without telling us. And now we go, oh, Beyonce came out with a country album. Well, obviously, like, she's literally saying, hey, this is what I'm about to do.
And on top of that, in this clip that was included in our last video, another supporter pointed out that it seems like Beyonce is collecting medals.
I think I might have figured out Act 3 by accident. I may have a theory. Has anyone else said this? I think I'm losing my mind. Now, I know better than to try to think like her or anything like it. It's just a theory. It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. Y'all, it's different kinds of metal. Renaissance was all silver, chromatic, futuristic, right? Everything that she did in that rollout was all silver-based, sparkles, right? Cowboy Carter has been a lot of gold accents. The new perfume that just came out is a gold bottle. That gold dress she was wearing at that Sir Davis private dinner, stunning. But the golds. Act 3 has to be bronze. If she does bronze, think jazz club, those deep dark brown. If she goes gospel, rock, think about a church pew, the colors of really expensive guitars. Like, literally, the Olympics. Hello? Let me stop. I can't wait.
And honestly, it's all starting to make sense, but it has been there the whole time. And that makes me start to feel like Beyonce might actually be involved in these commercials to send hints. Because think about it, not only did she wear that gold jacket in the video, which is almost the same as the one in the commercial, basically screaming that we're still in the Cowboy Carter era, but she also dropped that gold bottled fragrance, which also dropped within the Cowboy Carter era, while Renaissance was silver, because for most of this era, I focused on white instead of the gold that was there the whole entire time. And not only that, but if you really think about it, Beyonce also started this era with commercials, with the album being announced in a commercial, also with her doing the Levi commercial. But here's where breaking down everything in this video gets crazy, because putting everything together makes up the plans of a tour, like the Live Nation reposts, could be for the tickets, the airlines commercial, could be clues for flights to the tour, and the Pinterest commercial, could be hints at all of the different looks Beyonce will be switching up for this tour, just like she did with Renaissance, which is all different concepts that goes into a whole tour with different commercials that came out at different times. So if you ask me, the hint at a tour has been in our faces the entire time as well, but we just didn't notice some of them until they're all put together. But before you go, keep the prayers going for everyone affected in LA also. Comment for part 2. Let's talk about how the transition from Beyonce's country album into a potential rock album connects to how she's explained her transformation into Sasha Fierce for performances. Now, there are so many clues pointing to Act 3 being nothing other than a rock album, and all of the evidence has always been right in front of us, and we figured that out. But first, let's talk about the font related to Beyonce's January 14th, 2025 announcement date. And if you didn't catch our thread on this, I'll break it all down here, or you can click the link in the description to check out the thread for yourself. But when Beyonce dropped this font, I immediately knew what I needed to do, which was research it, and my goal was to find any clues connecting this font to rock, because let's be honest, Beyonce loves hiding hints in plain sight. So I got to work scanning the font to save everyone the trouble of trying to figure Beyonce out, which seems to be impossible. So here's what I did. First, I took a screenshot of the date and uploaded it to a website that identifies fonts. Then tons of Gothic fonts popped up with names like Gothic Regular and Gothic Roman Regular. And when I researched the history of Gothic typefaces, I found that they're directly linked to blackletter script, and remember the term blackletter because it's crucial. But then from there, I used another website to try my luck at identifying the exact font Beyonce used. And while I didn't find a perfect match, I discovered a similar font called Beyoncé Gothic. This discovery felt significant because the consistency of the Gothic style started to make sense. So going more into the history of this font, I found that the Beyoncé Gothic font is a modern blackletter typeface inspired by the medieval scriptures, making it bold, dramatic, and often used for titles or branding. And if you're wondering what medieval scriptures are, it include works like the Bible and Gnostic Gospels, ultimately meaning that this font has biblical roots. But now let's circle back to what exactly black letter fonts means and how it connects to everything. So these Gothic style fonts, like the ones Beyoncé teased, are often associated with rock and roll, particularly heavier subgenres like heavy metal, and the sharp, angular appearance of these fonts visually mirrors the rebellious, intense energy of rock music, so you'll find them in a lot of band logos and album artwork where they convey a dark, Gothic aesthetic. So what does this mean? Well, the font style Beyoncé chose aligns perfectly with the aggressive and powerful image that many rock bands aim to project. But now, let's talk about the consistency. So the Gothic style doesn't just stop at the font, but it ties directly into rock and roll. And if we're talking style, then it would be the black clothing, dark makeup, also including those bold, dramatic expressions. And using a perfect example would be Beyoncé's Vogue magazine photo shoot. And in these pictures, everything about it screams pre-planned, from the red and black color palette, which is both deeply tied to rock and Gothic themes, to the motorcycle. It all connects in a way, and even the black motorcycles are iconic in the rock and roll culture, but which also could be associated with motorcycle clubs whose signature colors are black and red, which in my opinion gives the dark and aggressive Gothic style as well, with rock-inspired elements throughout the course of this year, just like she did last year. Like, for example, think back to when she wore that Prince shirt. It wasn't just a fashion statement, but it was a clue that ties perfectly into this rock era. And then, to top it all off, she even dressed as Prince for Halloween. And we went into more details about all of that in our Act 3 Will Be Rock video, so if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. But I feel like we're going to start noticing more and more rock-related themes rolling out from now until 2026, but only if my prediction of Act 3 dropping next year is accurate. But I think this could only be the beginning. Like, I really believe Beyoncé will keep dropping more content. But now let's talk about how country transitioning into rock relates to Beyoncé's shift into Sasha Fierce. And well, it's simple. Beyoncé represents her personal side, while Sasha Fierce embodies her business side, which is like a transition between two personas. Like, for example, when Beyoncé wears her signature black hoodie, fans automatically know that she's in work mode. So to me, the Beyoncé album could represent the personal side of Beyoncé, and on the other hand, this potential rock album could represent the Sasha side of Beyoncé, with the energy, with the bold, commanding, and ready for business energy that she brings when performing. And a perfect example of that would be how her energy shifted when she performed Yaya, and how more energized she was, which could remind you of her Sasha persona. And this gave me another reason to think that a tour is on the way, because that was just a glimpse of what I think is coming. And Beyoncé herself has even said it, and I'll play the clip in 1 second. But first, think back to her 2013 Super Bowl performance, which was Sasha blending Gothic vibes with her powerful stage presence. And it ties into my theory about the horse transitioning from black, which would represent Sasha at the Super Bowl, to white, which would represent just Beyoncé at the Beyoncé Bowl. And what made me think of this was when she said, "She gone," which could represent Sasha's absence too. She coming! Which ultimately could highlight Sasha's return, in which to me would mean that she's basically saying that Sasha took a break, but now she's coming back. And I also wanted to point out that her doing this head movement is a signature move performers use during rock and roll performances. But to explain this all in shorter terms to me, Cowboy Carter was the Calm album, which is why it is said that it was supposed to be the first released, which would make sense being though that Renaissance was an energizing album, with Act 3 being the even more energizing album, which could represent the levels of energy rising until she ultimately brings it to Sasha's level of energy, bringing her back to the stage. So in conclusion to that, the best way to describe it is that Beyoncé will bring that don't hurt yourself energy, ultimately doing what Beyoncé showed us she was going to do and go out with a bang for the ending of this trilogy. And also with evidence presented, it can't be a coincidence that in this era, a lot of things are black and white, which is also Sasha coded, because not only does Beyoncé bring Sasha out on the stage, but she brings her out in a lot of music videos as well. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of Beyoncé's past music videos took the theme of black and white, and we've seen black and white in her GQ magazine photos, and even in videos and pictures she has posted to her Instagram. So you can also see the pattern of her wearing black in almost all of them, while also including a black cowboy hat instead of the white one. And on top of that, she wore a black cowboy hat at the same iHeartRadio Awards show that she mentioned the rock and roll related artists on. And in one of our last videos, we talked about her teasing the white cowboy hat during the Renaissance era, so it wouldn't be a reach to point out that she's doing the same thing in this era as well. But where else do we see black and white in the theme of rock and roll, right? And this is what made me come to that conclusion on top of Sasha's energy, signature color, and persona, making the energy of rock and roll and the style of the gothic aesthetic. But all three acts seem to represent different aspects of Beyoncé, with her personality being Act 1 Renaissance, which is all about fun, energy, and freedom, and with Act 2 being Cowboy Carter, which symbolizes history, including hers, and now Act 3, which could potentially introduce Sasha Fierce back, showcasing Beyoncé's business side and her gothic rock-inspired persona. Also, this theory aligns perfectly with how Beyoncé constantly studies her past work, reinvents it, and weaves it into her future projects, just like her Beyoncé Bowl performance echoed homecoming vibes, with the huge band mixed with her famous Dubai lift-up, and her 2013 Super Bowl performance hints at it being called a bowl with a sprinkle of her Sasha Fierce energy.
Is your husband comfortable living with somebody as competitive and as ambitious as you are?
You have to ask my husband, but I think so. I'm competitive really with myself.
Right.
Honestly. Like, every time I start an album, I go and watch all of my performances. And I try to figure out, okay, what is it that I could have done better, or what worked? And really, my references, I go back to myself and trying to better myself. So I'm really tough on me, more so than anyone else. I'm not a competitive person that walks in thinking about other people and how I can compete with them, or especially not my husband. Not at all.
And it seems like all of the theories I mentioned is not too far off being, though, that she looks back at her own work to find ways to improve, which was exactly what I had to do as well, by looking back at her work to find that pattern Beyoncé always goes by. So to me, Beyoncé is teasing us with all of these rock elements, not because a full-on rock era might be coming, but because it seems like she's setting the stage for it by slowly transitioning into it, just like I mentioned in our Look at That Horse Theory video. Like, really think about it, her mindset is evolving, and everything we've seen so far feels intentional, so much as though that it's like she's giving us crumbs of clues while also preparing us for what's next without fully revealing it. And honestly, the evidence speaks for itself. Like, the way she ties these concepts together, from the fonts to the visuals, shows just how out of this world her creativity truly is, and how Beyoncé's mind operates on a level that's genius and unpredictable, and her work alone is proof of that. And since we're bringing up fonts again at the end of our What Will Be Beyoncé's Next Move video, I mentioned how this potential up-and-coming era that could possibly bring dark, gothic, and rock reminded me of the Haunted visual, and it even has all of those same elements, and even the vibe while watching the video connects to everything I named, but that's not all I've noticed. And, well, one day while randomly listening to it, I noticed the B font on the luggage, and I never really paid attention to it in the video until now, and I know a lot of you have probably seen it, but it was something about it that stood out. Like, the font of the B gave me serious rock and roll vibes, and then it hit me that it also even looks identical to the font Beyoncé used for the date because of the sharpness of it, and it also looks like the same B I used earlier in this video. And the font of this GIF also came up under the rock and roll search when I found it, which can't be a coincidence. But on top of that, this is all from Beyoncé's self-titled album Beyoncé, and that had me thinking about how Beyoncé herself described Cowboy Carter as a Beyoncé album. So those clues alone makes me want to look back into her self-titled album to see what else might connect to her current work of today. But just when you thought that was it, then the cigarettes became a hint, which was crazy to me because this whole time I was trying to figure out why she keeps popping up with this cigar, and the whole time the cigarette clue was right there. But one clip is from the B-Watch video she posted to her YouTube, and the other clip is from the Haunted visual, where, as as you can see, Beyoncé steps on the cigarette in both. So at this point, the clues can't even be clues anymore, but is just starting to become evidence of what's coming. And if you want a separate video on more clues in the haunted video and how it relates to all of this, put it in the comments because there's more. And I also wanted to say that as we move into this darker era, I really hope dark hair Beyoncé makes an appearance because honestly, who could go wrong with dark hair Beyoncé? And I'll wait, but let me know what you think.